Meanwhile, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is fighting to keep his gavel, facing a growing number of threats by hardline Republicans during a budget crisis. With a number of spending bills stalled on the House floor, thanks to a handful of staunch conservative Republicans, some GOP lawmakers now question whether McCarthy is capable of leading the party heading into the 2024 election, though no one seems ready to take the mantle from the California congressman. Let's dive deeper into the subject with Republican strategist Rina Shah and Scott Bolden, who served as chair of the D.C. Democratic Party from 2002 to 2004. Rina, I'm going to start with you. Even some moderate Republicans have voiced frustration with Speaker McCarthy's time leading the party. What have you thought of his tenure as the top Republican in the House?
I think it's been very tenuous. I think it's been marked by a number of missteps, and this one being the biggest one. You know, at the end of this month, and we are halfway through, we are going to see a shutdown. In my estimation right now, it is not looking good. We may see a shutdown that's longer than 2 to 3 days. Now, is that what McCarthy really wants? Absolutely not. He knows he can pass what would be a clean, continuing resolution, but that could cost him the speakership. He is in a moment where he is being tested. His leadership is being questioned over and over again. But this one leaves the biggest question, because when you get to a point where you cannot lead on the financial matters, forget the sort of wrangling your caucus for other matters that seem pretty procedural, related to votes on certain non-controversial bills. But we are talking about the purse here. We're talking about stewards of our budget. And if they can't get this done, keeping the government open, which is the job I'm talking about, then it looks really awful from him moving forward.
Talking about the purse, talking about the money that's needed, Scott, it also sounds like the speaker is between a rock and a hard place. How are Democrats viewing this? Are they celebrating this, or does it complicate things on the other side of the aisle as well?
When your opponent is in a political hot mess and blowing up or imploding, the best advice is always to stay out of the way and let them do it. I don't think we're celebrating because, as my good friend Rina said, this is about the money, this is about the budget, keeping the government open, and as well as the American people. So we're not celebrating that. It actually makes life harder for Democrats to keep the government running. You need some adults on that side. And the real problem is, if these were lawyers operating, this would be a huge legal conflict. And it is a conflict for his leadership because in effect, he's either deciding whether he wants his own personal power as the speaker, or does he want to do what's best for the American people? And that's a hard place. When he cut that deal to become speaker, he was doomed, and we knew that we were going to be in this situation at some point. We are. The sad part is the American people are going to suffer. It's not Democrat or Republican now. This is an American issue that needs to be resolved.
Rina, Scott, it appears that the pressure is getting to Speaker McCarthy. It looks like this. Take a look at this. During the closed-door meeting on Thursday, McCarthy reportedly hurled an expletive at members, challenging them to, you know what, just go ahead and do it. Just try to remove me as Speaker. Rina, is McCarthy capable of leading the Republican Party right now?
I haven't found him to be capable since January, since it took 15 ballots to make him speaker. But the question really is, who else could do better than him? Would it be somebody from a more far-right position? Absolutely not. And I don't mean to engage in too much hyperbole here, but he cut a deal with the devil to get that speakership. And when I say devil, I mean the far-right extremists that threaten to blow things up all the time. And that's whose votes he had to rely on, almost on his knees, begging to them, make me the speaker, I'll kowtow to your demands. And he has tried, but they have not let up. They have some extreme demands related to spending that always seem to show up at the 11th hour. But they will say to the American public that they have been holding firm, and they have been trying to hold Kevin McCarthy and other moderate Republicans accountable for many months now. It's a question, it's a game right now, actually, of he said, she said, and I just don't see how McCarthy comes out of this looking any better than he does today. He's in a really tough place, and he's really winging it right now. That's a really important thing for our audience to know. At this point in the game, we sort of know where things are, but he is every hour of every minute of every day, he's just winging it.
But Scott, it seems like gone are the days of the Paul Ryans and the John Boehners. How can Democrats take advantage of Speaker McCarthy's seemingly weak position with his fellow Republicans?
Just record it and record it for the American people. We got presidential elections coming up. This is not a time for Democrats to celebrate. It really isn't, because the American government and the American people are suffering because of this leadership or this leaderless party called the GOP. I'm not even sure you can call them a political party at this point.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.